Hello viewers, today is Tuesday, April 9, 2024. The temperature in my yard got up to 75 degrees today, which I believe is at or surpassing the record temperatures for this day. It's still 72 degrees, probably got about an hour of decent temperature left. So while it's still warm, we're going to go ahead and turn on some fans. First we have this Lasco 3733 from 1999 or 2000. This is the exact instance that I grew up with. This thing has an absurd amount of hours on it, and it needs some help. It could fair to be repainted and needs a new handle, and the switch is kind of dodgy, but it's still running, and it still runs pretty strong. So let's go ahead and turn it on to high if it'll work. There it goes. It's got a really powerful sound to it. There are a few fans that remind me of summer the same way that this one does. I think the switch is working pretty good today. Yeah, it's still running great after all these years. This is now 25 years old, and this has run through so many summers, and it still works great. Next we have a Lasco Weather Shield VN 3743, I think is the model number, and I believe this is a 2003 model. This is one of the earlier ones to use the PSC motor, and at this time the PSC ones were still just as powerful as the old shaded pole Marco motor models were. It's about as strong as the 3733, if not more, because of the guard design. Yeah, I think actually a little bit more maybe. Definitely a higher volume of air. Very, very powerful. Nice evening sun coming in now. This one is a Toastmaster. I've had this one for a long time. I used to use this a lot at the old location in the bedroom windows. It's very yellowed out, so it is what it is at this point. It's kind of rattly because the guards are so brittle. I had put some washers in between where all the screws are to try to keep it away from rattling against the frame, and it seemed to work for a little while, but I don't think it's really working that good anymore. It still runs very well. These really weren't the greatest fans though. It's not that powerful. Hey, it's okay, but the blade design and the aerodynamics just wasn't that great. It's kind of loud for the air produced. It's not bad on low though, pretty quiet. And of course no fan setup is complete without the infamous Lasco 3733 from the more recent times. This one I believe is a early 2010s model. It's still old enough to have the older Lasco logo, but it does not have the flag on the letter K anymore. I like this logo much better than the newer one that they use. Go ahead and turn this thing on. Ah, it's so powerful! Give me a break. That's okay. And for the power drawn, I guess it moves an acceptable amount of air. As you can tell, compared to the other three that were just shown, even the sound of this one is just so flimsy. It's got no girth to it at all. A really high-speed blade with no pitch. And we'll switch this on to help push the air into the rest of the house. Here in the kitchen we have two Lakewood box fans. These are both model 200 something, I believe, 200i maybe. The one on the left uses the slightly newer style Macmillan motor, and the one on the right still uses the old style Macmillan motor with the 3rd generation blade. And the one on the left, of course, has the infamous braced blade, which when paired with a decent motor does actually move a pretty good air velocity. So right now I have just put a piece of wire, like sticks, in here on either side, and it just kind of holds it in place. This is not ideal, but it is working, and this might be the most practical solution to this dilemma of not being able to open the windows large enough to put the fans in. This is not great, but I think it's workable. If I take the upper sash out, then it only blocks about a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch off the top of the fan. Right now it's blocking about 2 or 3 inches, which is not good, but I don't want to take all the windows apart just for an hour of operation. Alright, we'll start with this one first. And it's pretty powerful. I really don't think that these deserve all the hate they get, because that's pretty strong. Unfortunately, these brace blades are starting to warp, as are the D blades, and so even this, I think, is not working as well as it once did. Still has a really nice, quiet, calm low. Okay, now we'll move to this one. The brace blade is much more powerful than this. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think it has a higher velocity. This one probably has a higher volume. This one also has a pretty good slow low still. The cabinet is so thin, there's not even a half, maybe a 1/16 of an inch between the blade hub and the guard. It's absolutely ridiculous. I guess we're getting some backdraft here. Here we have a Dora Craft floor to window convertible VN. 3-speed, electrically reversible. And it has the weird rotating guard thing as well. And this too is held in by the wire. It's not ideal, but it's working. In fact, actually it works kind of okay with this because it does clear the window itself. And this is very powerful for the size. It's really a shame that there's no more products like this anymore. At least that I'm aware of. There's just no window fans of this size. And it's a shame because this moves a lot more air for a lot less noise compared to those little 6-inch twin window fans that are everywhere now. This is a much better design. It's actually really powerful. I'm impressed by this one. Even on low, it's still throwing a lot of air. And I guess this in theory should... I don't think it's really working right. That's kind of supposed to spin. There it goes. And you can feel it moving air in different directions. I guess on low it can't quite keep up. Downstairs in the studio we have a 3rd generation Lakewood 223 box VN. And ironically, these windows are turning out to be the easiest windows to put VNs in. These really don't move that much air. These 3rd generation ones are kind of disappointing. This one's had a lot of sun exposure. The handle is just shot. It's all like chalky and falling apart. And the guards are as brittle as can be. Though by some miracle they have not a single broken slat on them. And apparently this is also out of balance. Quite out of balance. That's ridiculous. This is horribly out of balance. I don't remember it being like that. It's kind of weird because the hub is still like perfectly straight. So I don't know, must be one of the blades that's bent out of cluck or something. So we got that, and then over here we have the 2nd generation 223, which is a much better fan. Very powerful. Good velocity and good volume. This runs very nice. And lastly we have this 20-inch iLiving exhaust fan. Or maybe it's an 18-inch. I think actually it's an 18-inch. 20, I don't know, whatever. I got this blade I wanted to try to put on there, but the shaft size is different. The shaft size is actually bigger on iLiving than this is. So I can't use that blade. This is a really powerful fan. It's built surprisingly well for something made still today. Running pretty good. The camera battery is out of charge, so I gotta let it charge up for a little while. Then we'll do a walkthrough inside and out. Unfortunately, it's getting cold, and now it's time to turn all these fans off and shut the windows.